Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
You know, when you're a bi person in a straight passing relationship, sometimes you get a little self-conscious. And then you watch Usher take his shirt off and you go, yeah, I'm definitely not straight. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your host and superior webhead master, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs. And joining me today for what was originally going to be big game trailer talk turned into kind of just Deadpool and Wolverine trailer talk, Armin from the ComicBookCast, live in living color.
Oh, I have advanced. No longer am I stuck in the 1940s with just audio. I'm here in the flesh. It's amazing. It's good to be here.
I'm very excited to have you on. Again, it was one of my favorite things after the Super Bowl every year was to have those, big trailer roundups. And again, there was less than I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie. I thought we were going to be getting a Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer. I know quite a few friends of mine were actually hoping for that one. Especially to see if the rumors about Hayden Christensen playing Shadow are true.
Right. Yeah.
Which I am very much hoping for. I'm very excited. We're going to be mostly talking about the Deadpool 3 trailer. Deadpool and Wolverine, I should say, because we actually have a title beyond just a number.
Yeah.
Which I was curious about. I was curious if they were going to give it the old MCU subtitle instead of a number. Or if it was going to be number and a subtitle. But I'm very excited. But before we jump into our conversation about that, we have a word from our lovely sponsors. Deadpool wears a red suit to hide the blood, and he also wears the red to hide the Bloody Mary stains. You guys know the drill. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse, with their 3-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spice ain't for you. And if you want to get your freak on and garnish that bad boy, you can go ahead and pick up their award-winning pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus, and some rim salt if you're really feeling nasty. As I've said more times than I can count, I am a former bartender, and I come from strong stock that knows how to make a very good Bloody Mary from scratch. And Sunday's Bloody Mary is the only Bloody Mary I will drink at this point. It is my favorite. It is my go-to. When I see somebody pull out a Bloody Mary mix at a bar and it isn't Sundays, I gag, and I don't want the Bloody Mary anymore because Zing Zang is ass. So use the link in the description down below and use the code TNAP, TNAP at checkout to get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. So, jumping in real quick, I would like to issue a little bit of a semi-correction to a comment I made on the show last week. Travis and I were talking about how Google is broken and doesn't work anymore. And one of the worst things about trying to Google news about movies is that when Google will be like, hey, here's the cast of this movie or TV show, especially with fandom stuff, there's just stuff in there that is objectively wrong with people who were not in that movie. For example, Hugh Jackman was not in Avengers Age of Ultron, despite what Google would like you to think. And I saw the term TVA pop up a handful of times when we were talking about that. And I got a little cocky and I was like, we have no indication or confirmation of the TVA playing a role in Deadpool 3. Now, I will like to clarify, I was mostly talking about the fact that they have Owen Wilson as Mobius listed, which do we have any indication that Owen Wilson is in Deadpool 3?
No.
Okay.
None.
Okay. So I maintain that. However, it does look like the TVA is in Deadpool 3. So we can just kind of jump right into that trailer. Armin, what were your initial thoughts coming out of it?
Um, I don't mean to sound negative, and that's what some people are gonna perceive this as, but it is a compliment while I cautiously approach this movie. It did not feel like a sequel to Deadpool 3 or to Deadpool 2 as a Deadpool 3 follow-up, and why I say that is because it feels like it up until the TVA shows up, and then I get rocked. My brain gets rocked into, "Oh, right, this is now in the MCU." And that to me was so weird because, like, the trailer starts, I'm like, "Yeah, we're back. Here's the Deadpool crew." And then suddenly you get that. I'm like, "Oh, we're in the TVA, right, MCU." And then all the multiverse stuff is happening. So I love the trailer, but I had a bit of a whiplash effect with the trailer where I was like, "Oh, I need to condition myself to understand this is Deadpool 3 MCU, not Deadpool 3 the way it would have been a Fox film." But otherwise, I love it. I thought it was a great it's exactly what a teaser trailer needed to be. It teased Wolverine, and that's all we needed in this one. I loved it for that.
You see, I'm glad. I also loved it. I want to make one thing clear. I did love it. For me, and I know I got a little got a little shade in the Comic Book Cast Facebook group because I was like, great trailer, needed more Wolverine. Um, I am aware of the fact that this is a teaser. I think truly the thing that keeps it from being a good teaser, and I use teaser and trailer interchangeably, and
Yeah.
that's probably not good for clarifying reasons, but um I think the thing that could have made this a great teaser is if that moment where Wade is like laying on the ground and like Logan's silhouette is being cast over him and he pops the claws.
Uh-huh.
If we had gotten like a very like like
Uh-huh.
very brief like shots of Wolverine piecing Deadpool up,
Yeah.
and them fighting. I think just a little bit and maybe just a little bit of like Wolverine like her at the end,
Mhm.
to like Deadpool and Wolverine, to really hit that at the end, because it comes with that title reveal, and I think that's my issue is that like I do really I wish we got I wanted to see Hugh Jackman in motion in this suit, not in the context of set photos, not in the context of like leaked or leaked footage from set.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Hugh Jackman color corrected in his suit doing his thing, and I just want to see how it looked. And I really think that title reveal, it falls a little flat for me because we didn't get that big moment just to see Logan. I'm not asking. I'm not asking for them to like delve more into the plot or even to show us more
Mhm.
of like what multiversal shenanigans might be at play. I just want to see a little bit of ba. Again, just like maybe even just one shot of like the claws locked up with Deadpool's katanas. Like that, like just I just wish we actually saw him. Especially because it immediately turns into, the title of Deadpool and Wolverine. And then um Hugh Jackman posting the Wolverine and the asshole meme, which was funny.
Yeah.
I just, there's so much of the hype on the immediate heels was Wolverine. Wolverine's in the title, Wolverine with
Yeah.
the friendship necklace. Hugh Jackman's posting memes about Wolverine not liking Wade. Like there was so much Wolverine there, and I'm like, we saw him from the back and then
Mhm.
his shadow.
Yeah.
And I just wish there was a little bit more, like I think back to like some of like the greatest teasers of all time. Like The Force Awakens comes to mind.
Yeah.
You know, like we still saw a great deal of stuff in that
Mhm.
teaser. Like to me, it's almost like if I were to make a comparison to like in my opinion one of the greatest teaser trailers of all time, The Force Awakens, like it's
Yes.
almost like that big moment with Kylo Ren and the
Mhm.
and him igniting the crossguard
Yeah,
saber
with
for the
it.
first
Yeah,
time.
yeah. That scene was
It's it's almost like all we heard. It's like if we had that scene, but all we heard was a
Yeah.
weird lightsaber ignition.
So I
Like
will
all
agree
we
with
know is
you.
that
Like,
doesn't sound right, like a
yeah,
normal lightsaber. But
exactly. No, I'm gonna agree with you. And like one of my favorite trailers, bar none, in the MCU is the Age of Ultron trailer, where at the end we get just Vision. You know, it's like in your face. It's like up close. We're like, ooh, they're teasing. There's Vision, right? Like, I wish we could have seen, I don't know, like Logan's hand pick up the cowl or something. Just something a little more.
even that,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, like, and I get it. It's a teaser trailer. I get it. You know, people are gonna complain, be like, "Oh, this and that." We know what it is,
yeah,
but it's a good teaser trailer for, look, Wade, MCU and stuff. When you call it Deadpool and Wolverine, I feel like the last scene right after that title should have had that little 1 second stinger. You know how in the trailer Deadpool is walking through the snow and he comes into frame out of all the blurriness? Something like that with Logan, even if he was blurry, like Wade shaking his
yeah,
head after he gets punched, it's like Logan, and then just something just to show us the colors. Because again, I attest to this. People don't know what's happening. One of my best friends, I play D&D with him. I've talked about Deadpool 3. He literally posted a trailer going, I didn't know they were making Deadpool 3. I'm like, uh, again, people are dumb. People saw the title. I guarantee there's still people that are like, Wolverine as in Hugh Jackman? Like, that's a given, okay? There's
yeah,
still those people. So, like, I wish there was just a little hint in there to lean into it.
yeah, absolutely. Or even like I think the Kylo Ren example I gave was bad. It's all like, and I agree with everything you just said. And like what we got from this trailer is if you take that Force Awakens trailer and all you heard was the Millennium Falcon,
Yeah.
not that shot of like the Jakku chase with
Right,
TIE
right.
fighters. I think that would be a better comparison to make. But I absolutely agree. And again, for the layman who doesn't know, especially in this era of, and not to say that the people doing the drum beat of the MCU is dead, the MCU is dying, the MCU fell off, etc., etc., etc. All of that is old hat, and it's been old hat since 2013.
Mhm.
Um, that there is the way I'm not saying you have to win those people back.
Yeah.
That is a very fickle audience that is
I
going
mean,
to be
look,
always be fickle.
I made a video which got me a lot of crap, but a lot of people are agreeing on it as well. And the video was, you know, people use the MCU as the new water cooler thing to just jump on because the franchise was popular. And the moment they could stop caring about it,
Yeah,
they jumped off because they weren't Marvel or comic fans. These were, as I talked about it before, people who made fun of me for wearing a Spider-Man shirt, who suddenly were like, Spider-Man's cool. Well, I guess I better be a part of the Spider-Man conversation, right? Like, a lot of those people were just looking for an exit, and their exit was, well, Endgame, everything after is bad. So,
yeah.
those people can have what they want. I don't want to, jump on that, but like Deadpool 3 has the potential to bring some of those people back, especially the casuals. There's nostalgia in the old X-Men movies now, so, you know.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. Like
Yeah,
not as like an indictment of the quality of those films necessarily, but just like because the X-Men movies, especially while they were competing with the MCU, kind of felt like the B
mhm.
team.
Right. Yeah,
They
yeah,
felt like
yeah.
the Marvel
Yep.
B team. And it's heartening in many ways to see that they're getting their flowers now in 2024. But yeah, I just wish there was a little bit more Wolverine to sell those people and to sell to the people that like this is the movie we're doing.
Right.
And like they didn't even let Hugh Jackman speak, which
No.
surprised me. Like like I think there could have been a moment. And again, it's not like I'm gonna pretend to write dialogue. I've been told by my friends that apparently I'm worse at writing dialogue than George Lucas. But that whenever he's on the ground like that, are you gonna help me up, you ape? Like you could have had like a stay down, bub. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
like have him say something, like make it clear to the audience.
Mhm.
This is Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. This is what's happening. Da 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 da.
Like, you say that, That's exactly what worked with Multiverse of Madness, was you had the shadow and then Professor X's line initially, and everyone was like, "Oh, is that Patrick Stewart?" Like, there was that, "Ooh, we know what it is," and even still, I remember people being like, "I'm not sure if that's Professor X." I'm like, "It's a bald guy in a chair with Patrick Stewart's voice. Who do you think it is? Locutus of Borg?" Like, what? It's like, yeah, you needed something, so yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of meat on the bone, but and again, that's it's a not necessarily a nitpick, but it's something small that again, it does not affect the people who already knew they were seeing this opening night. This
Exactly,
doesn't
yeah.
affect you. This doesn't affect me. This doesn't affect 99% of the people who listen to either of our shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, this is it's just I wish we had more. And honestly, it's me being greedy.
Mhm.
I'm not ashamed to admit that I wanted to just see Hugh Jackman in all his yellow and blue glory.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Going back through the trailer, I really do enjoy the framing, and I do like the sense of kind of there is a melancholy to the
Mm,
beginning of the trailer, and it's something that you said again back when I was a youngin listening to CBC in high school that like changed the way I look at Deadpool. Because I was an edgy teenager, so I liked Jimmy Chongas, look at my balls.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We all
And
did
it
at
was
one point.
yeah, we all did at one point. Um, but there comes a point with Deadpool where it's like you can either like, and again, if you enjoy him for chimichangas and balls, still, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
But like, there's a deeper element to Deadpool that you would constantly refer to as like the sad clown of the Marvel universe.
Right.
That like that there is a melancholic nature to him that like there is an emptiness to him that that because his life is so cyclical, um that that a lot of that humor is designed to cover up the fact that like there is something in him that's broken.
Uh-huh.
And the idea that Wade is going to be thrust into this grand adventure on the heels of it seeming like things aren't as good as he's framing them. Like he's talking about
Mhm.
how happy he is and how lucky he is, but it seems like there's a little bit of distance between him and Vanessa
Yeah. Uh-huh.
in the beginning of that trailer. Um, and the framing of like the TVA showing up as he blows out his candle, it almost seems as though his wish was, "Let me have one more big adventure."
Yup, yup.
Um, which I also think, again, Deadpool as a franchise being so quick and skilled at times at lampooning, current trends in pop culture.
Mhm.
uh the whole the amount of we're gonna bring back this great hero for one last ride thing that we've seen in a lot of things, Star
Yeah.
Wars, Indiana Jones, Mike Keaton's Batman, etc., Hugh Jackman in this fucking movie. um there's I think it's funny that like down to Wade like having like a weird wig. It
Yeah.
feels very much like Deadpool's version of being on Octo in a way of like him of somebody being like, "Hey, like it's time, you have to cross the threshold once again into
Yeah.
adventure." Um
Well, also,
that
like, if you watch this trailer, right? I went back and watched the trailers for Deadpool 1 and 2. Again, it's a different vibe, it's a different Wade, but that's also story growth. It's not just like, "Oh,
Yeah,
MCU." And also, this trailer is not shot like an MCU trailer. You could tell it's cut like the Fox trailers. For better or for worse, you decide that, but it has that vibe throughout it. So I think that's kind of important to acknowledge as well.
absolutely. And I will say, I know that Deadpool humor is very hit or miss for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I know that for me included, I know I like there's a specific tone you need to hit. I think it's why I like Ryan Reynolds' iteration of the character so much, is that I think he strikes the perfect balance of like, please shut the fuck up, and being earnest and
Mhm.
sincere. And that's super on display here. And it really does feel like that specific timbre of the humor is present. And there are a lot of jokes in this trailer that already got a big laugh out of me. I am Marvel Jesus, the pegging. Uh, a lot of that was working for me. Um, where do you think story wise this is going? Because if there's one shot in the trailer that did pique my interest more than anything, it was the way he's stalking through what looks like a casino or a club up to
Definitely
Logan in
gotta
that white
be
suit.
it's gotta be the Hellfire Club, right?
Ooh,
Like,
okay.
and he's clearly doing the patch thing. Like, he's gonna wearing the white suit, he's probably gonna have the eye patch on, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, Wolverine and Logan." Are gonna be like, "Patches Logan? What?" Because comic book stupidity, like,
Yeah.
Logan puts on a patch and suddenly he sits behind a bar and everybody's like, "That's Wolverine? We didn't know." It's like, "Alright, fine, whatever. I'll take it."
Oh, it's like the what's the stupid other alter ego for Bruce Wayne?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like it's something similar to Patches. It's a very stupid name, but
Right,
he's like everyone's like, oh yeah, he's just another goon who works for Two Face or Penguin or whatever it is. Don't pay any attention.
right. Well, it's like watching this trailer, right? I get the sense that a lot of people think that this is Deadpool versus Wolverine, and that's kind of what it's framed like. But notice Xavier's sister is in this. So she is confirmed to be the villain. So I think the film, first act, TVA, catch you up with what's going on. Second act is going to be that battle in the wastelands with, Red Skull's car, the Secret Wars comic, all that Fox logo. Then we get the introduction of the villain once that battle is done, and then we're moving to the third act, which we've seen nothing from. I
Yeah,
think that's when that's all been shot inside in a studio where they don't want leaks to happen. I mean, that to me is really what the movie is, and I think that they might not even sell the advertising on that. I think the advertising is gonna be like, "Look at these 2, and you don't know what's coming," and it's like, it sounds like it's gonna be pretty impressive, almost like Multiverse of Madness style. "Hey, we're tossing some twists and turns in here, so
yeah.
get used to it and get ready."
Absolutely, and I think that there's a fun element there that you can really play with having Deadpool do all this multiversal stuff.
Mhm.
I thought it was very normally I get annoyed when they show just movie footage as some type of like captured footage,
Right, yeah.
with like
Yep.
but like the framing in a Deadpool movie, it works. It works to
Mhm.
just show wide shots from the Winter Soldier of like Steve like shit kicking
Yeah.
Batroc. Um, I did think that was very fun. Like the salute was also great. But no, I do think you're right. I do think you're right, and I'm interested to see because I almost at first was thinking that maybe the Deadpool's being sent after Wolverine.
Right.
There's some level of oh, he's a variant. We need to get under control, and you
Could
know,
that, like, technically, doesn't that gotta be the case, though? Because this can't be the Wolverine from Logan, because they said they're not touching that. So if
yeah,
they technically remove him, that doesn't fit the timeline at all. So maybe the patch characters, possibly Logan, and maybe there is a multiversal variant that's this Wolverine. I mean, they could toss a curveball at us. We don't legitimately know. So,
yeah, yeah, and I am inclined to think that he's after some Wolverine variant.
uh-huh.
My and again, this could still work with the TVA angle, especially now that with like the reformed TVA
Mhm,
that is much more dedicated to keeping the timeline safe than it is like purging like strands.
mhm.
Um, I do maintain my idea that we're watching a lot of the incursions,
Yeah.
and that is leading to
Yep.
like the eradication of the Fox continuities.
Mhm. Yep.
And that is where we're going to see a lot of these extra continuity characters come into play.
Right.
Like we know Jennifer Garner's Elektra is in this.
Yep, that's even in the leaked poster that reveal because you can see her sai is sticking out by Wolverine's, like, arm, like, it's so I think you're right. I think in that sequence where we saw, like, Pyro is back, I think that's sort of like you said, an incursion wasteland for multiple Fox realities. I
Yeah,
think
and
we
that's
see a
why the
bunch of
big
this.
logo is in the
Mhm.
wreckage, and yeah.
Exactly, like, I think we're gonna see that. I've been told, I can't talk about what it is, there's other Easter eggs in there that will make people take note of and be like, "That's clever." I'll talk to you offline, obviously, but there's I'm super excited for that sequence and to see what's happening and how they're gonna tackle it. So yeah, it looks if nothing, if this trailer does nothing for you, at least you can appreciate that it looks different than anything we've gotten in the MCU so far. Like it has a unique feel to it, which I think Deadpool 1 and 2 certainly had. Even if I don't like Deadpool 2 and I don't, I think the first film was such a fresh breath of air to comic book films. I feel like this is recapturing some of that magic. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I like Deadpool 2 a lot more than you do.
Mhm.
That's a conversation we've had. I actually think I'd like Deadpool 2 more than the first one. Um, but yeah, no, I am very interested in seeing where this is going, and I'm just so curious. I do really love the TVA angle.
Mhm.
I really do enjoy this idea that the TVA is, like, hey, like incursions are happening, and we have this one rogue Wolverine variant that is wreaking havoc,
Mhm.
and we need to get him under control because this whole situation has gone belly up just from the incursions themselves, and now we have this rogue element that is causing more chaos by
Right.
doing whatever he may be doing. And I think that's really cool. I'm very curious to see outside of jokes how much Deadpool knows about the MCU.
Same. Yep.
You know, like if I'm curious to see if Deadpool has a frame of reference for who Captain America is beyond the jokes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I
Like,
get that. Like, I 100% I get what you're saying because you can. Deadpool is a delicate character, especially with a scenario like this, where if he shows up in the MCU and he's like, "Oh, they showed me footage. You guys are just a movie in another universe." Mm, in a comic, I can buy it a little more because it's stupid. In a film, talk about devaluing everything that's ever happened, right? It's like suddenly you're like, "Oh, Tony died just because he was played by Robert Downey Jr." Whoops. That doesn't work in the
yeah,
MCU,
or
you
at the
know?
very
So
least, at the very least, he can't. It has to be one of those moments where he's talking only to the audience.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
where like
Exactly.
I think and again I think that's the tough needle to thread there
Mhm.
that I trust. I really do trust uh Ryan and Sean Levy and all of the people
Yeah.
involved to thread that needle because like you said, like if you have a beat where it's like, oh yeah, like Tony's dead because Robert Downey Jr. is expensive as balls.
Right.
And I don't think he can say that to Rhodey.
Right.
But there could be a conversation where it comes up, and he just kind of looks at the camera and goes, "It's actually because of his budget."
Yeah, like, we
Anyway,
can't have
like
exactly, we can't have suddenly Deadpool and Wolverine end up in the MCU and they're in the middle of Times Square, and we can't have Deadpool look at him being like, "Yeah, it turns out there's a licensing issue and an argument between Sony and Disney again, so we couldn't get Spider-Man, sorry." It's like, "Ooh, no, no," like, and
oh,
that's
see,
there's
but
a
that
line.
specific joke I could buy. I could buy like a little like a
If
little.
he was
We're
telling
in
it
New
to
York,
us,
and
I
where
could
is
go with it.
Spider Man?
Yeah,
Like,
if it was to us, I could go for it, the smart fans, like us here, whoever is listening to this show, they are the equivalent of a wrestling smark. They are in the dirt sheets, right? So I think the casual person would way over your head. CM Punk shows up in WWE and he's like, "You can't go around choking out people." Only the hardcore people know why he was fired from AEW. The
yeah,
casual person has no idea. It's like, ooh, straight over the head. So you got to find a tasteful way to do it. And I hope that Marvel Studios can kind of like pull in some of those elements so we're not getting to the point where you're like, don't devalue everything we spent a decade plus building, like just
yeah.
we got to be reserved.
Yeah, you there comes a point where it gets irreverent to the point
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like it it almost being mean natured.
Uh-huh.
Like it also it almost turns into what people say the boys is.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep.
It's an argument I have with a lot of my friends where it's like, oh, it's about superhero stuff bad. And I'm like, no, not really. there's much more going on there. Which, speaking of the boys, I just want to say, did you see the Vought Super Bowl commercial?
No, I honestly, I try to ignore everything but the thing I just needed to talk about because I like to go into things like blind now if I don't talk about it. So Shay watched it and she was like, "Oh," I was like, "Nope, nope, nope. Don't tell me. I'm just blind."
There's very little footage from the next season of the boys.
Uh-huh.
But it started in a much more on the nose place than most boys stuff does,
Okay.
which, like, saying the boys is subtle is an
Yeah.
indictment of me, but that they really were like on the nose of, like, America, football, horses, words
Yeah.
synonymous with Vought International, and it was like, fuck, this is good.
Mhm.
It just leaned all the way into that very over the top, but acknowledging the over the topness of the social commentary, which I really
Yep.
appreciated. Um, but back onto the topic of Deadpool, I will also say I know a lot of people were, not super into Sean Levy directing Deadpool. I gotta say, and again, we've only gotten a taste, but, like, I am really liking his direction so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the again, I know also, like, it's trailer editing, so, like, it may not be as, like, the do in the edit for the film,
Right.
but, like, that bit where Deadpool's suiting up,
Mhm.
which,
Yeah.
again, we need more of. We need more suit ups in superhero
And the,
movies.
like, action sequence of him, loading up the guns,
Yeah.
that was straight out of, like, a Matthew Vaughn X-Men Kingsman sequence, like, I like that as well.
Yeah.
It looked good, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great because I also was like, "Oh, this is very Kingsman," where he, like, throws the clip, loads it
Mhm.
midair, throws the
It
X-Men, loads it
straight out of
midair, and,
Kingsman.
cocks it across his chest. Like,
Right.
I was like, "This is really fun and stylish." I
Uh-huh.
really like that. Or, like, again, like, he, like, slaps his ass while he's suiting up, and, like, he's,
Yeah.
like, coming up from, like, the Van Damme split in the
Right, right.
elevator. Like, all of that, like, it's like again, we spent a good bit of time up top, kind of being like, oh, I don't know about maybe you should give us a little bit more Wolverine. But, like I said, everything else is just hitting every high note and
Yep.
very much selling. It just occurred to me, we were talking about, like, you put more Wolverine in for the casual,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
for the people who don't know to know. This trailer almost felt like it was geared towards people like you and me.
Right. Oh, 100%, yeah. Like, yeah.
Because it was like, well, we know Wolverine's in it.
Right, exactly. Yep.
You don't need to see Wolverine, you fucking know.
Right.
What we need to show is that we understand the tone and the
Uh-huh.
style and the flash and the pizzazz and the flair. And so it kind of just occurred to me that this feels like a trailer that was not meant for the normie, to get a taste of, like, oh, look, here comes Wolverine. That this was, like, kind of leaning all the way into, hey, just because it's Disney does not mean there's not going to be any
Again, yeah. To
style.
me, this was 100% them playing to the MCU smarks, which is what we are. Again, we are the biggest nerds and the small percent of the audience. The casuals had no idea that a third Deadpool movie is happening. This is their first exposure. They're going to lean into Wolverine. They're going to blitz market 6 weeks out. It's going to be $1 billion film. Like, they know what they're doing. And again, like when Ryan Reynolds posted leaked images and he doctored them to be fake, I feel like they served this up to us. And they're like, we're going to make these little nerds squeal when they see the Secret Wars comic, but Doom is perfectly scratched out of the cover. Like,
Yeah, I
that was to
honestly,
us.
I didn't notice the Secret War comic at first, and then I saw people talking about it. I thought that was a meme.
Once you watch the 4K trailer, you can distinctly tell if you have a high enough resolution like 4K TV. It is so crisp, your eyes will fixate on it. But anything smaller and grainier, you're like, you won't notice it because people will watch it on this, and I watched it on my 82-inch OLED TV. So of course I noticed it, because it's the size of a real comic.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know?
I will say I myself watched it on my phone.
See, there you go,
So
yeah.
yeah, but when I saw people, because I also saw like people immediately being like that one TVA or Hydra agent or whatever who had a hood on,
Mhm.
who like erects that like big dish weapon.
Right. Yep,
That people were
Doctor
like, oh,
Doom.
oh, it's Doctor Doom, and I was like, shut the fuck up. That like when I immediately start seeing Doctor Doom was in the trailer and it's in this Secret Wars comic, I was like, okay, I sincerely thought it was a bit, and
Uh-huh.
then I saw like actual like
Oh, no,
oh hey, look,
everybody was
it's him.
talking about it. Everybody like,
Yeah.
dude, half my timeline of casuals were like, "Doctor Doom?" I was like, "Jesus, here we this is the Jason Todd J Suicide Squad, it's Red Hood, it's not Joker theories. Welcome to Movie Pilot 2014 or whatever, right? Like, that's where we were again."
Oh man, movie pilot. Those are the days.
Yeah, yeah, that's a throwback, kids.
Well, no, I mean, even the like, I will go a step further. I think it's because I think you need to know a little bit about comics to go full Pepe Sylvia and say that Jared Leto was playing Jason Todd.
Oh, yeah.
This feels more like the Batman is in Captain America: Civil War because nobody knew who the fuck Black Panther was.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's that to me. That's more what it feels
Oh,
like. Is the like,
uh-huh.
oh, he's wearing black and there's pointy ears. That's the Batman's. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but no, I didn't even know about the comic, and them leaning into that is again very, very, very funny, and I really do appreciate that angle. Um, before we kind of bring home again, I was expecting this to be a longer episode dedicated to more trailers. Again, we talked before we started, I was expecting a
Look,
Sonic
I
the
might
Hedgehog
have
3
watched more
trailer.
trailers, but Helldivers 2 had my name all over. I was itching to play more of it. So I was like, the moment Deadpool was there, I was like, "Just call me for the halftime show. I'm done. I don't care about any of this."
Yeah, no, and I understand and do not blame you for that. Like Quiet Place 2 looked cool. I was impressed
Uh-huh.
by the Wicked trailer.
Yeah, yeah.
Um but no, all of that said, I am very excited for this. I was very happy with this new trailer or this teaser. I should say to be precise. Um and I'm very excited for the next one.
Yeah. Oh,
Like this is very much like I'm very excited to see what else they have in store for us.
mhm.
And it is in many ways frustrating, at least for me. We're coming off the heels of the Marvels getting shortchanged, both because of a litany of circumstances.
I
You know,
mean, like, people will point out, be like, it's because it's woke, it failed. Explain all the other films. Explain Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman. Like, they're all everything is suffering. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. There's not a single movie like truly aside from aside from Barbenheimer,
Yeah.
that like did not feel a little bit of box office grief, and it just so happens to be happening during the dynasty of the MCU. And you know, I myself am very excited for Deadpool 3. What I'm not excited for, and what frustrates me, and what I know I'm going to be frustrated by, is the inexplicably an R-rated movie is going to outperform the Marvels.
Yeah.
And because of the mix of the anti-woke fandom menace,
Oh,
machine
yep.
dissuading, I think, a lot of people from seeing it.
Yep.
I do think that's a factor. The Marvel's ability to drum up hype was
I mean,
hindered by the
so,
strikes.
you mentioned that. Go search up Marvel Studios and then go search up Marvel Studios Captain Marvel 2 or something, right? You watch one trailer, the next 10 recommended videos are all the anti-woke, women bad types that get recommended. That's
Yeah,
what they feed into the algorithm, and that's taken over. And I have a feeling that that might cause a negative effect on this because they're going to use this as proof of, see, everything needs to be R-rated, everything needs to be made for me, penis jokes. It's
exactly.
like, oh no, you missed the point. Come on.
Yeah, I am. I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm not worried about people teaching themselves the wrong lessons
Hmm.
from this. And I'm not even going to say that Marvel Studios has learned the wrong lessons, because it's not like they're changing like, oh, we're gonna stop doing these specific stories, and they're like, the movies are gonna be more dedicated to like our tentpole things, and that's whatever. But like, it doesn't mean like Black Panther's going away. That doesn't
Right.
mean that like they're going to just pretend that Captain Marvel or Ms. Marvel doesn't
Right.
exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like, when the inevitable rollout of the X-Men starts, that when they inevitably lean into the social justice element of X-Men, which is baked into the fucking story, that people aren't going to lose their minds and start throwing hissy fits. I just am I am like preemptively frustrated by the discourse
Mm-hmm.
that, look at Marvel, it made $1 billion again because it wasn't woke.
Yep.
I'm just preemptively annoyed, especially after the Marvels was put on Disney Plus this week or this past week. And we've seen so many people, I've seen so many people at least on Twitter being like, oh man, I really wish I caught this in the theater. Oh, this is so
Mm-hmm.
cool. Oh, this is
Yep.
so good. And even people in the ComicBookCast Facebook group, who have been like, oh my gosh, like, this is great. I should have been there. Da, 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 da. It's like, yeah, you should have, because
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
And I don't know how
That's
everybody got convinced it was not good or to not
I
at
have
least give it a
like
shot.
I have a bunch of friends now who are all the moment they see a trailer for something, their first instinct is, "I'll catch it on Netflix. I'll catch it on Disney Plus." And then they're the same ones who on opening weekend are complaining that the film isn't successful. I'm like, "You're the one that said you'll catch it on Netflix. If you show interest in it and you want to continue, then watch it in the damn theater."
Yeah.
Like, don't wait 3 months because, "Oh, I'll catch it on Netflix or I'll catch it on Disney Plus." Like, uh, I do think the streaming landscape has kind of ruined people the last couple years and to condition them to that at this point, which is harming a lot of content. Like, why would you want to see Aquaman 2 when it was coming to digital a month after and a month after that to Max?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you completely. And I think, yeah, and obviously a big factor in that is like the ballooning movie budgets that, like,
Mhm.
you have like, it's almost at the point where things have to make $1 billion to be profitable.
Yeah.
Um, that I just the landscape of entertainment is such that there's a lot of these like almost comorbidities that will lead to a
Yeah.
movie not performing as it should. And I absolutely agree with you. I think the I'll just wait till it's on streaming thing is a unintended consequence that
Yep.
a lot of the um old media company owned streamers need to figure out a way around.
Yeah.
Like when it's going to be on Disney Plus in a few months, and like the seeing it in the theater is not as big a deal to you as say you or I.
Yep. Yeah.
It's it is a factor that I'm not as worried about for Deadpool, because again
Yep.
there is a spectacle to seeing this
Right.
movie. There's been a spectacle to the directly multiverse saga
Yep.
movies.
Yeah. For all people saying, well, people aren't into that, then why are the multiverse films the one that are making bank? Hmm?
Exactly, and it's the thing that I remain frustrated by when it comes to conversations about nerd media,
Yeah.
is that as much as I love Spider-Man No Way Home, because it is a beautiful study in like what it means to be Spider-Man,
Yeah.
what is the cost of great power and great
Right.
responsibility. Most of the people went because they knew, hey, I know that guy.
Yep. 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 Yep.
And
Yep.
because of that, the conversations revolve around, hey, I know that guy. Multiverse of Madness was this like very mournful, beautiful story about, love and loss and identity. And, you
That
know,
somehow went way over people's heads, and they're like, "There's nothing to this film." I'm like,
yeah.
"What?"
Oh, yeah. So then you'll get people who are like, oh, like people, it's there's like to this film that is then compounded by John Krasinski, Mr. Fantastic, and it's
Yep.
like, yes,
Yep.
this is cool. This is like this is really cool flavoring. You know, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's putting sauce that tastes great on wings that were cooked very well. You know, like that's the thing. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, like this sauce will make any wing good because it's good sauce. It tastes great. This could you could take fucking frozen Tyson chicken nuggets and put them in the microwave and then dip them in this sauce. It'll taste good because the sauce
Right.
is good.
Yeah.
The wing itself was great. The sauce made it awesome, you know, and
Yeah.
it's that I'm preemptively frustrated by the conversations, but
$100%.
that's my own problem. But yeah, I think that'll do it for Deadpool trailer talk.
Yeah.
Armin, anybody who's listening or watching already should know where to find you and all
Yeah,
that you
just
do.
fucking type in the shit in the link tree and go there, and I'll link to everything there. So there you go, people. Just that's the easiest way to find all my bullshit. That's it.
Well, go watch Armin's bullshit.
Yes,
Especially when I'm on Armin's bullshit. Speaking of, I'll be on Armin's bullshit this week on Comic Book Cast.
yes. And if
Um,
you guys would like to know more about me outside of the comic book bullshit, there's another link in there to my other YouTube channel where I do other stuff. That's really the best way to explain it. It's a
yeah.
hodgepodge of everything. So
Yeah. Oh, speaking of other stuff, I do want to do a quick plug. I brought it up a few times on the show because I've been watching it week to week, and not just because it's because a dear friend of mine is on it, co-hosted with a broadcaster whom I'm a big fan of. Anytime with Ken and Alden, the new talk show that Ken Knapsack and Alden Diaz are doing.
yep.
They've been doing it live on Ken's YouTube channel. They're officially moving over to the Anytime with Ken and Alden channel. So anybody who's watching here, please go on over and subscribe to that. Help them get that channel monetized as well. Speaking of monetization, we crossed 500 subscribers this past week. So thank you very much for that. We're going to be live streaming more here soon because we could do super chats and shit. So I got to get that all sorted out on my end. And yeah, expect more live stream stuff over here at the Nerd Academy. Because again, thank you all so very much for 500 subscribers. It makes my heart very happy, very full. And I'm glad Armin's on for this episode where we're talking about it because it
Hell
couldn't have
yeah.
been done. It could not have been done without Armin.
Yeah, so I will make sure it's shared everywhere. If you guys are watching this from the CBC and you're not subscribed, you should be. Subscribe here so you can follow Jarod. We frequently appear. Somebody from CBC frequently appears on here, so you
Yeah,
never know when.
especially with how busy Travis's schedule has been. Uh, you and Mitch are like this close to just
Just
being
yeah,
tweet at
just members.
people as well. Like
Yep.
we're at the point where where I am basically a member of Comic Book Cast, and y'all are
Yeah.
basically part of the Nerd Academy. But yeah, speaking of like a little bit more sizzle and stuff coming up on this channel. I told Armin about this yesterday. We have a very special episode of Knights of the Nerd Republic coming out this week, folks. Those of you, I know there's a handful of people who watch who also listen to Knowledge Fight. I know I got Armin in the Knowledge Fight. The I know there's some policy wonks who came here. I know I have made some of our viewers and listeners into policy wonks, namely our $10 patron Paco. There's been a lot of really fun interplay there. So as many of you have probably seen, Gina Carano has filed a lawsuit
Lol.
for wrongful termination against the Walt Disney Corporation, funded by Elon Musk. And we are going to be joined by Morgan Stringer. She works for Farrar and Ball, the law firm that represented the Sandy Hook families in the Texas lawsuit against Alex Jones. She's been covering that case in a journalistic capacity for a very long time. I believe both Texas and Connecticut. She's been very, very boots on the ground with the bankruptcy proceedings for Jones.
Damn.
And the firm she works for, Mark Bankston, the gentleman who y'all will remember from the viral clip where he's like, "Hey, Mr. Jones, did you know your attorney sent me a digital copy of your phone?"
Oh my god.
Yeah, she works with Mark Bankston. at that firm, and Bankston is currently representing somebody against Elon Musk in a defamation case.
Oh man.
Yeah, lots of overlap there. But Morgan will be joining me for an episode of KNR this week to talk about Gina Carano's lawsuit against the Walt Disney Corporation. So she'll be helping us break down and make sense of that. I'm very, very excited and honored to have Morgan on. It's going to be a wonderful conversation. We're recording that Thursday night. It should be out on Friday.
Is there any chance that the thumbnail will be the one woman crying in the street? But Gina Carano's face imposed on it. Can that be the
No, because
thumbnail?
Gina Carano doesn't have the range to make that face.
No, that's true. Okay, you win on this argument. You win. Yeah, that's damn. I don't like the one that's the fact, but that's the fact.
I know. I do. I've
Oh.
never seen anything on her face aside from being stern. And it's so. Listen. Okay, real quick. Here's what fucking pisses me off. Okay, and I want to say, rest in peace, Carl Weathers. Like it, absolute gut punch of a loss.
Yep.
Titan of film.
Mm-hmm.
If Gina Carano hadn't fucked everything up for herself, there would have been, again, this is one of those like out of necessity things you have to do with a story. And it is the least important thing to do with Carl Weathers passing away. A real man with a real family and friends who inspired millions has passed on, and it's tragic, and he's gone too soon. But in terms of how they would have handled that with The Mandalorian, in a world where Gina Carano doesn't shoot her own career in the back of the head, the arc they could have given Cara Dune of stepping up to the plate of being the new High Magistrate of Navarro, that would have soared.
And then
that would
how
have been
that could have
so good.
Right, and how that could have actually connected to the Rangers of the Republic show, where that could have then come to a close after a season or two. And
it ends with Cara coming home to Navarro to be
straight up
there was so much there that she fucked up.
That's why we want Brie Larson to play Cara Dune. So they could do that.
That's good and funny. This has been my fan cast. If they were to recast Cara Dune, and my girlfriend, because I've been watching a lot of Law and Order SVU with my girlfriend, and she keeps telling me it wouldn't work, and I think she's wrong. Mariska Hargitay.
Okay. Any specific reason?
I think they both. I mean, granted, like Mariska would have to bulk up because Cara Dune is built like a brick shit house. Your Gina's ripped. I can't take that away from her. But I think Mariska is very good at like encapsulating that like sense of duty. And
they just have to obviously age the character up because of her age, and in
my defense, I came up with that when we were watching episodes from Law and Order SVU from like the early 2010s.
Right.
And I keep forgetting that Mariska Hargitay has actually aged 10 years since those episodes. Again, people age. It's a natural thing that happens. It's not a slight against Mariska. But I'm looking at like 2013 Mariska Hargitay, and I'm like, Cara Dune.
Well, that's like, I was talking to somebody about the Deadpool 3 trailer, and I was like, man, I can't believe Pyro is back. They're like, that's not Pyro. I was like, yes, it is. Here's the actor. He was like, but why does he look different? I'm like, because it's been 20 years. What the fuck do you mean? That's why he looks different.
Cara was on Tatooine and had that Kenobi aging happening.
It gave her a little leather skin. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. She can get that Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness in 10 years treatment.
Right. Yeah.
But no. Oh, and speaking of Ewan McGregor, whenever that Empire article comes out, we will also be covering that on KNR as well. Morgan Stringer on KNR this week. New episode of Ionized Bastards on Friday as well. We're recording that tomorrow night. Ionized Bastards, Star Wars RPG show. I'm in. I play a dark Jedi with a checkered past named Fabian Martell. Alden Diaz plays the Ithorian version of Saul Goodman. Dan Miller from Baraxium plays a kleptomaniac, vagrant cyborg Gungan. And Jerry from the Bombad cast plays a teddy bear of an assassin droid. So if that motley crew lineup doesn't appeal to you, it's like an R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy inside of the Star Wars universe.
So it sounds like what probably Taika would have given us if his film wasn't shit canned, or maybe
Hasn't been
not. I don't know.
It hasn't been shit canned. He's still
Has it not? Yeah, okay,
no,
good.
yeah. His is one of the ones that are still on the docket. He's just taking his time to cook,
Oh,
and I don't
perfect,
mind it.
perfect. Okay, good, good.
Yeah, I'm excited for Taika's. Very, very
Yeah.
excited for Taika's. But yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dark Jedi 2552, and you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and our website, the nerdacademypodcast.com, where if you want to get some TNAT merch, click that student store link.
T-public.com.
And if you're feeling generous, you can chuck in a buck to our Patreon.
Hey, give me $1.
Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Keandre Lloyd.
Colin Provolone. Sir.
So good.
Feel yourself, Colin! Feel yourself!
This is me stealing my soul.
And to Paco, or as he's going by on our Patreon, Chat GPT.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And to Armin just shaking his head.
I have Alex Jones screaming at the top of his lungs.
That'll wake you up in the morning.
Yeah.
And to our dear friend Ray Clausen, who asks you donate to Equality Texas and help keep queer kids safe in the Lone Star State. If you guys go to our Patreon at the $5 tier, you get access to the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series. We just wrapped up season 4. And we are currently, it should be out. I'm dropping this episode basically immediately when we're done recording it. The episode, when this episode is out tomorrow, this episode is coming out the day you see it, but tomorrow, Tuesday, the 13th comes, we will be releasing our Versus Series Season 4 tournament bracket. So how that works, and there's a giveaway involved, so keep listening. All the winners from Versus Series Season 4 will be on one side, and all of the losers will be on the other. And then they will all compete against each other until we get to a final that will be the loser versus the winner. The winner of the losers and the winner of the winners against each other. And when we post this bracket, we'll post it on all of our social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I don't think TikTok because it's a picture. But once that's out, you guys can then submit your brackets. Try to predict who you think will win each round. And whoever has the most accurate bracket at the end of the stream will get their hands on some free TNAT merch, courtesy of your favorite nerds here at the Nerd Academy. So be sure to keep on the lookout for that. Follow us on all your socials so you can get those updates when it comes out. Submit your brackets, win free shit that is open to everybody, patrons and regular listeners alike. So submit those brackets. It's going to be a fun one. There are some really, really fun matchups that we have cooked up. This isn't a spoiler. My favorite one that we have cooking, the one that I'm the most excited to talk about, is going to be Lord Starkiller. So like dark side ending of the Force Unleashed, Sith Stalker Starkiller versus Pre-Suit Vader. And that's in round 1, folks. That is in round 1. So, like I said, once those are posted, be sure to submit your brackets. Send them to nerdacademypod@gmail.com. That's nerdacademypod@gmail.com with the subject line versus bracket. And once it'll be live streamed. So it'll probably be in a couple weeks from now. So we'll be doing that. And then at the end of March, we'll be doing another versus live stream for my birthday, because we did that last year and it was a lot of fun. So expect that in your feed as well. But yeah, with that said, thank you all so very much for watching and listening. Subscribe to ComicBookCast, subscribe to the Nerd Academy podcast, and I will see you guys later this week when I'm chatting with Morgan Stringer about Gina Carano's ill-fated lawsuit. Until then, class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!